All right. Should you train athletes differently depending on the sport? Of course. But I'm going to tell you how I go about training athletes. Take their sport out of it, everybody gets trained the same, meaning health is number one. That's the number one priority. I don't care what your sport is, that's your number one priority. If your heart's about to explode, you gotta take care of that. Second from there, all athletes need to be strong, they need to be fast, they need to be mobile. It's just varying degrees of each thing depending on the sport. So let's take powerlifter, because that's what I do. It's the most people I coach. And let's take a track athlete, somebody that does hurdles. Do you train them differently? Yeah, kind of, but not really. We're gonna focus on strength. Powerlifter is gonna focus on absolute strength. So that meter is gonna be really high. The track athlete, they're both fast twitch muscle fiber athletes. They both have to be really fast, putting out a lot of force in their muscles immediately, right? So the track athlete's still gonna work on strength, leg press machine, box squats, stuff like that, right? Heavier stuff. The supplemental work, instead of doing maybe Bulgarian split squats for the powerlifter, the hurdler will do split squats jumping to a box, right? They need more speed, more explosiveness than the powerlifter. Doesn't mean the powerlifter doesn't need speed and explosiveness. Of course they do. They just need a little less of it comparatively to the track athlete, right? They need to be just crazy fast all the time. They don't need to be able to squat 700 pounds. So again, meter for the track athlete, explosiveness speed is up here, where their absolute strength meter is down here, and vice versa for the powerlifter. Now, where does mobility come in? Both athletes need to be mobile enough to be able to perform their sport. Track athlete absolutely needs to be more mobile than the powerlifter. Powerlifter needs to hit depth in the squat, needs to be able to grab the bar in the deadlift, and needs to be able to bench, and needs to be able to do those lifts to the competition standards without compromising their technique. And in my belief, they need to have a little bit more of a range of motion and a little bit more mobility than that, just to keep them healthier in case they end up having to go deeper in the squat, or they get out of position in the deadlift or in the bench and they sink a little bit more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This way, if you've never worked those deeper ranges of motion, you won't be just caught off guard and your body won't be shocked and you won't get hurt. Same thing for the track athlete. If they're very tight and they don't have good hip extension and they can't get a really long stride, they're gonna pull a hip flexor, adductor, they're gonna pull their hamstring if they don't have the range of motion that way. Get my point? So you still have to be mobile enough to perform your sport, but not overly mobile to like a yoga master. So like a swimmer would need even more mobility than the other athletes, because their range of motion in their shoulders needs to be dead on. Their spine needs to have that mobility of being able to do this in the water, all that kind of stuff. So training athletes is, the base of it is the same. You're just tweaking what you need of each category for that athlete. Now, when you're training the general public, it's the same thing. You're just taking out the sport aspect. And when you're training athletes, and especially experienced athletes and athletes that are at a very high level, now this is where the coach and the athlete relationship really comes into play. The better you know each other, the better the outcome is going to be. I'm not in your body as a coach. I don't know what you're feeling, but the longer I'm with you, the more I can see the little nuances of what you do. And I can see just from the warm-up, you're either not gonna have a good day, you're off, or like things aren't firing, or you're going to have a great day. Everything's firing right. You're just popping, right? So it's kind of this yin and yang kind of relationship that you need to have with your coach. And this is where you really squeeze out every little drop of potential from the athlete. So I don't know. I hope that helped. If you're writing your own program, I hope that helped if you're a coach. Kind of clear things up a little bit. And if you need more information, brickHousePower.com. Comment below. Talk to you guys later.